Do you want to increase your sales and profits by double digits this year? Dick Olick and his staff at Consultants in Cleaning, LLC can provide both telephone and on-site assistance to help you do just that. There are no long-term agreements required from this industry pro with nearly 50 years of making it happen. Dick and his team have a proven track record and stand ready to help you. Visit their website at www.consultantsincleaning.com or give them a call at 573-873-9500. Welcome to Try Podcast, episode 220. It's Monday, May 7th, and today, Dick Olick shares the wisdom of the ages. There ain't no free lunch. That's right. If you want it to happen, you have to make it happen. And in today's Try Podcast, Dick helps us understand just how we can do that. Let's listen in.
Let's talk about some wisdom today in this podcast, this Try Podcast. You know, I remember participating a few years ago in a Zig Ziglar class where he told the story of the king who wanted to know what the wisdom of the ages was, and he got the best minds around him that could tell him what the wisdom was, and so they hovered together for about a month, and they came back with 50 volumes of books that told the wisdom of the ages. And he said, "You don't understand, I'm not going to read 50 books. What's the matter with you guys? Go back, condense it into something that I will read." So another week or two passes, and pretty soon they come back with 20 books. He said, "You don't seem to understand. I ain't going to read 20 books either." You know, and so they come back with 5 books. He said, "I'm not going to read 5 books." By golly, they figure they have him. 2 weeks later, they come back and they give him 1 book. He says, "You know what? I don't know how many times I have to tell you I'm getting tired of this. I ain't going to read a book either." So by golly, they hover, and another week or two goes by, and pretty soon they come back and they said, "Mr. King, we have the answer." And he says, "What is it?" And they said, "There ain't no free lunch." And that is the wisdom of the ages. There ain't no free lunch. We have people maybe who said, "I want to sit around and wait for people to wait on me and let the government support me and all that," but there ain't no free lunch. You see, Zig tells a story about General Motors having a strike several years ago, and I thought this was a classic. It's how we look at things, you know, that it has a great dependency on what we do in this world. And he tells a story of being in Detroit, Michigan, right at the time that General Motors was striking. And he was at a real estate convention as a keynote speaker, and a break came up, and he talked, as he was standing there at break time, he talked to this one gentleman. He said, "How are things going?" And right after he said that, he said, "I knew I'd said the wrong thing, because the guy told me, well, General Motors are striking, nobody's buying houses." He said, "It's just we're all starving to death." And he said, "I don't know what I'm going to do." And he goes on and laments all the problems that he's having. So he goes back, and Zig does the next session, and comes back, and later on, and during break, and he sees this little old lady there, and he said, "How are you doing?" And he said, "The minute I said that, I thought, oh boy, I just said the wrong thing." And she said, "Things could not be better." She said, "I'm in the real estate business, And he said, "Well, I figured that because I'm here at a real estate convention as a speaker." She said, "Well, you know what? General Motors is on strike, And he says, "I thought, oh boy, here we go. I'm going to get this story again." And she said, "This is wonderful. I hope they stay on strike." And he said, "What do you mean?" Because he said, during the strike, they're eventually going to go back to work. And during this time that they're on strike, people have the time to take and look at all the houses that I have to offer. They eventually are going to buy, because they're going to go back to work. We know that. And the story here is, how do you look at things in this world? Here were 2 real estate agents, one that said they were about to go out of business because nobody was buying houses, and another one that says, "I'm going to get rich because as soon as the strike's over, I know several people that are going to buy a home." You see, there ain't no free lunch in our business either. It's time for us to quit blaming anybody else if that's what we're doing, because it's up to us to go out and that's one thing I always liked about commission sales. is that at the end of the month, you knew what it was all about. That's one thing I like about the game of golf. It's just you. You don't have to worry about a teammate that didn't make a block or a teammate that missed a 3-second shot at the last minute. If you didn't score well in a game of golf, guess who's to blame? You are. So, you need to make up your mind. I'm going to market better than my competition. I'm going to provide more proactive services. I'm going to say, yes, we can provide that service rather than we don't do that. So let's go. Let's get going. We have the wisdom of the ages. There ain't no free lunch.
You've been listening to a Tripodcast, short video and audio presentation about important topics in our industry. If you're a current subscriber to the Tripodcast, thank you. We appreciate it. If you're not yet a subscriber, please check it out. It's free and it's easy. Come to www.tripodcast.com, enter your email address on the right-hand column, and click subscribe. We'll send you out a new Tripodcast every Monday morning.